What is up, All-Star Salary Cap League members? I'm Poseidon. Good to see you guys. If you guys, I was about to say if you guys have never tuned into the show, I've never tuned into the show. So this is going to be a learning experience for all of us, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We got a bunch of different segments lined up. Again, this is for the All-Star Salary Cap League on Sleeper. So if you are not tuned into that, if you want to get tuned into that, whether that be through the G League or whether that be potentially getting into the All-Star League itself, reach out to Josh Pett either in, find somebody or check the links attached to this video or on the YouTube channel, and they will be able to hook you up with routes and lines to either view the All-Star Salary Cap League, whether that be through trades and league news, or you can obviously, if there's spots, you might be able to join yourself and participate, which would be so awesome, and we would love to see you guys there. That being said, I have worked pretty hard to try to piece together what I think is a really cool kind of concept. This isn't going to be terribly long. My hope is between 30 and 45 minutes of content a week. I think that's very manageable for me. It's very manageable for you guys to watch, and it's going to be just a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and just get into it. I have notes pulled up. Again, I'm still getting used to my own setup, so forgive me if things look a little bit different or a little bit odd, or things will be shifted around as time goes on. But our outline for today is going to be pretty easy. We're going to have a few different segments that rotate in and rotate out depending on the week. But the ones that are pretty much always going to be there are going to be obviously our introduction. We're going to talk about the IRL league news, so that's the NBA league news. We got a couple of different things to talk about, some things from this last week. I also want to briefly go over some things from previous weeks, because there have been quite a few things that have happened that I just think are really, really cool, and I'd really like to talk about them. We're going to talk about the All-Star Salary Cap League news, which we did have a pretty big rule change recently that I'd like to go over, which I was a little bit taken aback from, and it was kind of a big thing that we've had since the very beginning of the All-Star Salary Cap League, and now it is gone. So I'm really excited to talk about that because I also have some opinions on it, and I'm not afraid to say that this show is going to be biased. It's my show. I'm very happy to say that. But I also want to have a very legitimate opinion, and I don't want to be too polarizing. So we're going to talk about it, and it's going to be fun, and we're going to have discourse, and it's going to be great. The other two segments, or the other one segment that is always going to be in every show, is we are going to go over all the trades from the week prior. So that is, I believe, from when I planned this is from the 13th to the 20th. So all the trades that happened then, I think there were 15. No, there were fewer than that, but it was around the 10 to 12 range. So I'm excited about that. And then we also have one of my favorite segments that I will be rotating in and out depending on when it works and when it's needed. And it's going to be called Slayer segment. And I will explain Slayer segment when we get to it. That is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very, very excited because if you guys know Slayer, if you're in the Salary Cap League or know anything about Slayer, you know exactly what kind of segment that is going to be. So I'm very excited for that. I don't have an intro. I don't have theme music. I don't have anything like that. This is just very low key. Who knows? Maybe somebody, a viewer or somebody in the All-Star Salary Cap League, maybe they make me one. That would be really, really cool. I don't even have a show name. It's just kind of the Poseidon show, the All-Star Salary Cap League show. That's just kind of what it is, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, so we've gone through our introduction. You know who I am. I also have a team in the Salary Cap League. So just a few cardinal rules real quick from the start of the show onwards. I don't rate my own team. I'm not that guy. I might talk about trades from my own team. I might say, yeah, this was a pretty good trade. I might be more objective when I talk about trades from my own team. But I do want to be very clear. I am not rating my own team. I am not in power rankings that I do. I will never include my own team in those power rankings because I want to try to remain as objective as I possibly can during discourse on teams, because I'm in the league. I've been in the league from the very beginning. I love this league. I've very much enjoyed it. And the last thing that I want to do is hurt the integrity of the league or hurt the integrity of my own show that I'm starting now. So that is a rule that I'm doing from here on. The other thing is I'm not a big fan of like the whole, like, I'm not going to get in politics on this show. I don't really care which way you vote. I don't care what you want to talk about. I don't care. All right. This is about basketball. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be engaging. It's supposed to be cool. That's what we're doing. That's our focus. That's what matters right now. Okay. I think for the most part, that's the big overarching things, just bias and the very content of the show. I'm going to keep it very down to earth. I might use some advanced metrics at sometimes to like talk about players or talk about potential trades. Like there's those aspects of it for sure. But as far as like politics or anything of that nature, that's not going to be included in the show, and it won't be ever. So in case that was something that you were curious about, you don't have to be curious about it anymore. Anyway, we are going to go to our IRL League news. I'm hoping that my editors will do something where they will edit over this screen and they will show some of the league news while I'm talking about it. But we're just going to talk about 2 to 3 really quick things. I might get to that third thing, but I'm not 100% sure. I might just skip it for today and talk about it later. But there is 2 really big pieces of news. Well, actually, I'm going to get to the third one. I'm going to get to the third one. So the first bit of league news that we have, and this one is a little bit sad, and I wanted to talk about this one first, is Brandon Clark has died. Very, very sad. He played for the Grizzlies. To be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about him. But RIP to him, man. He was a good player. I don't really have too much to say about this other than I don't know what the league rules are as far as like when a player dies. I don't know, like I'm not sure if anybody knows this, but there's a rule for the NBA that if a team plane goes down or all the members of a basketball team die, that team actually gets a fantasy draft of all the NBA teams. Like it's very similar to an expansion team draft. So you get to protect a certain amount of players, and then the team that had all of their players die, they actually get to go in and draft players from different teams. It's basically exactly like an expansion team. I don't know if they get to do something like that. I don't think the Grizzlies get to. I don't know if they get like free agency rights or some kind of future pick. I don't think they get any of that. I think that'd be kind of nice if they did, especially considering the circumstances. I mean, the guy was he even 30 yet? He was a young guy. So it's just really sad to see. I certainly hope that his family is being taken care of. I hope the Grizzlies are doing something to be supportive with him and his family. I think that'd be really, really great. They don't really have to, but I think that would be very nice and a good thing for them to do. And I certainly hope the NBA has sent their condolences to the family. It's just that I think he OD'd, or he had some kind of. I think he OD'd though. So prayers out to him and his family. So yeah, that's one bit of league news that we have. The other, and this is kind of really, really big. This is kind of the biggest league news that I've seen in this last year, honestly. Like this is really big news. The NBA draft is changing. Not this year, obviously, but it's changing for the foreseeable future. I forget when the change goes into effect. It either is starting next year or it starts in 2028. I don't remember. Please forgive me. I did not look at it before the show, and I'm not going to look at it now. But I believe it starts in 2028. Essentially, what's happened is the bottom two teams, which I think this is crazy, the bottom 2 teams in the league have worse odds at the top pick. Insane. If you are a genuinely bad team and you get punished for being a bad team, are you serious? like, we're not even talking about flattened odds. I'm actually kind of a fan of flattened odds. I think there's already so little parity in the league, like actual parity in the league. I mean, come on, the Spurs got the number 2 overall pick in last year's draft because Wemby got injured. Please, that would have been a 40, maybe 45 win team. But no, they got Wemby, they got Stephon Castle, they got Dylan Harper in 3 years. Come on. I mean, you can't do better than the Spurs when it comes to drafting, first and foremost. But second off, I mean, really? Anyway, I think flattened odds are pretty good because that means teams like the Clippers or the Heat or the Warriors would all have a really good shot at getting those picks. So even sometimes teams that are having like a really bad year or an off year, or teams that are just constantly basically stuck in this like in between, like we're contending but we're not really contending, we're always just like a play-in team. Like that helps teams like the Bulls, and it helps teams like the Grizzlies, like this year's Grizzly team, or like a bunch of teams like that. It just really helps them kind of get out of this purgatory, which a lot of teams find themselves in. Which, I know people are going to be strongly against it because the biggest argument for that is the worst teams are not going to get the best players. That's the truth of the matter. It's not going to happen. Or if it does happen, it's not going to happen as often. Like this year's Mavericks were not very good at all, but they have a bright future. I mean, Kyrie Irving is coming back off an ACL. Cooper Flagg obviously is destined to be a perennial All-Star, perennial All-NBA, probably going to become a top 15, top 10 player in the league at one point. So shout out to him. All the hope for him going into his career. They only got, I think they got the eighth or ninth pick. They weren't good this year. They weren't good at all. But with these flattened odds, there's a chance that they could jump up. Maybe they could have gotten pick 4 or 5. Like that would have been really, really good for them. Now, with flattened odds, obviously that means that you could also get the worst team in the league, the worst 2, like this year's Brooklyn Nets. That is a terrible team, which, by the way, they have to be a cursed franchise. They fell to what? Like 7? I think they got picked 7. I mean, you have to be a completely cursed NBA franchise to, first off, they drafted 3 point guards and like a center in Danny Wolf, which I'm actually a big fan of Danny Wolf. I think he's going to be a lot better than a lot of people are giving him credit for. They drafted, I think it was 3 point guards last year. Why? Why would you do that? Why? There was no need for it. Like that's on their front office. Really, they should package a couple of those guys and go get like a real point guard, or package some of those young assets and try to just build a team, because right now their team sucks. And their team is going to continue to suck, which is why the flattened odds could be such a detriment to some teams. Because say you're the Brooklyn Nets and you've been a terrible team for years and you have no way of getting out of it because now the odds are actually slanted against you if you are the worst team. You could very easily see a team like the Brooklyn Nets or the Pelicans, or, well, not the Jazz anymore, but like the Wizards or a team like that just gets stuck in this cycle of, oh, we're the worst team and we get the worst pick. It's tough. It's really, really tough. And you're going to see a lot more parity, I think, because a lot of these teams that are in the middle are going to start getting the really good draft picks. I mean, we saw the Bulls jump up this year. We saw the Grizzlies jump up this year. Like, there are going to be teams that end up with really, really good picks, which is really exciting, and we love to see it, especially in a league that we do like parity in. But I think what you're going to see is you're going to see this new middle tier of teams that slowly emerge, that are getting the good picks, and they're slowly going to become contenders. But then you're also going to start seeing this chasm of mediocre teams that are constantly falling into those bottom 2, bottom 3 category, where they're getting worse odds and they're getting worse picks because they're bad. I understand why the league did it. I threw a lot of shade towards the flattened odds and the reasons why it's not great. There are some benefits, some real benefits. The first being the regular season has to matter. Like, if you're a fan of the NBA, you've probably watched some games. Like, sure, you've seen the highlights, and those are all fun to watch, but you've seen the games. Like, the games are fun to watch. And the reason you like watching the games is because they matter. But when you get to February, March, like later February, March of the season every year, you get teams like the Utah Jazz. This team was fined for benching their starting five in a game that they were supposed to win, and they lost that game. That's insane. Tanking is not real. Let's be honest. Like, it's real, but it's not a real issue. Bad teams are going to be bad. Now, there are some teams that manipulate that. Like, nobody can say that the Jazz are like a top 10 team. But if they wanted to be a 30-win team, 25, 30-win team, they probably could. Like, this team was a 20-win game, I think. Or a 20-win team. Like, around that range. They could have maybe pulled off 30 wins. I mean, Lauri Markkanen, Keontae George. Like, Keontae George was having a great year. Lauri Markkanen was having a fantastic year. I mean, at one point he was averaging 30. Like, man was on fire. Isaiah Collier. Like, they had a bunch of really solid players that were really coming together. And Kyle Filipowski is not one to sleep on as well. He could be a legitimate starting center. Maybe not for the Jazz, but for a team. And then they get Jaren Jackson Jr., and they shut him down too. Like, they could have been a very good team, but because of the tanking and their decision, hey, we're going to be bad and we're going to get a good pick so that we can be even better next year. Like, I kind of understand the league saying, this actually isn't good for the health of the product. Because at some point, you look at the NBA and you say, oh, wait, that's right. They're also a business. And people aren't going to buy the product if it's not a good product. Like, am I really going to pay to watch games that do not matter and the players do not care and the coaches do not care? No, I'm not. Do you really think I want to see the Jazz get blown out by 70 every other night? That's miserable. That's living in hell. I'm not doing that. So the point of the flattened odds is it's an anti-tanking rule. Like, we can call it what it is. It's an anti-tanking rule. I don't want to say it. I'm kind of in favor of this. It's going to make bad teams bad longer. But it's going to bring more parity in that middle tier of team, which is good. And I do like that very, very much. But all in all, I think it's probably going to be a net positive, at least for the product. I think the product is going to be better. I think teams are going to be worse, and they're going to be worse for longer, and you're going to see teams that have stockpiled picks. Oh my goodness, OKC, they may be a dynasty forever. I don't see how they mess this up. They have so many picks. I think I heard somebody say, I don't think it's actually true, but they have something like 12, 13 first-round picks in the future. That's an insane amount. And they got all of those from the Harden, Russ, and Paul George trades. Hey, man, I got nothing, dude. I mean, that's insane. And those picks have just become so much more valuable because flattened odds means if I have the 12th best odds, I have the exact same odds as the person with the 4th best odds. Like, it doesn't matter. I could be a play-in team. And I will still, like a 7th, 8th seed, they'll have the same odds as the 4th worst team in the league. That's crazy. Also, what the heck are my lights doing? I am so sorry. I don't know why my lights are bugging out right now. Give me a second. Sorry, guys. That's kind of crazy. Anyway, so that's the league news that we're looking at right now. I think I talked about that for like 10 minutes straight. So if you want to skip past league news in the future, you're welcome to. I don't plan on talking about league news for 10 minutes straight, but that was kind of important, and that was kind of a big deal. The other really big news, well, I guess it's not big news. We've been hearing about it for years. Apparently there have been like a ton of potential trade options for Giannis, and we're just now hearing about them. Like, apparently the Lakers were in the mix. Like, oh my gosh. The Cavs. Okay, the Bucks apparently reached out to the Cavs and were like, hey, give us Evan Mobley and every first-round pick in your future, and you can have Giannis. Is it worth it? Maybe. If I'm the Cavs right now and I have a 36, 37-year-old James Harden, do I really want to add another 30-year-old onto my team and ship away my entire future? After I traded Darius Garland as well, like, I don't know. I think I'd be a little bit timid, a little bit scared to do that, but it could pay off. So a lot of the things that I'm thinking about right now with the Giannis trades are, they might not happen. They might not happen. It's an unpopular opinion to say, oh, wait, but Giannis might not be traded. Because, I mean, let's be honest, the odds are kind of stacked against us at this point. In my head, he wants out. And unless the Bucks make a splash move and trade away their future, again, I don't see a world where Giannis stays. I think for the Bucks, it would be a terrible move to keep Giannis, because, I mean, if you want to put butts in seats and sell tickets and jerseys, then keep Giannis. Like, capitalism, don't let me stop you. Don't let me stop you. I'm more than happy to, give you that go ahead and like go make your bag. Who am I to stop you? I mean, it's not like Giannis isn't going to get paid like $80 million, and he's due for an extension here soon, and I'm not sure as the Bucks I want to be the one to give it to him either, because he's getting older and injuries have started to pile up, and I think now might be the perfect time to say, okay, Giannis, where do you want to go, and we will send you there. Because right now there's not a team that's not going to pick up that phone for Giannis. That's the truth. Giannis is such a fantastic asset to have on your team. He's an insane player. He's a top 5 at the worst. He's probably a top 7 player in the league, and that's not giving him his flowers at all. He's probably top 5 in pretty much any ranking, because guess what? Jaylen Brown was considered like around 5 for part of this year. That's ridiculous. Giannis would blow his back out. I mean, no, absolutely not. So yeah, I think Giannis is, in my opinion, in my professional opinion, I think Giannis is probably going to be traded this offseason. And honestly, I think the trades are going to be kind of crazy, because I think Kawhi might get traded. I think, who else? There's one other really big name that I think De'Aaron Fox might get moved, because Dylan Harper in these playoffs has been a killer, dude. I mean, oh my gosh, he has been fantastic. I really would like to see Fox on a team that needs him a little bit more as well. Like a team that just needs a point guard would be fantastic. I don't know exactly who would want to take him on, because he also has a contract. He got a bag. From the Spurs. And he's due it. He's a good player. He's a very good player. I'm not sure he's worth I think they gave him like over $100 million on his extension. I'm not sure he's worth that. The 30-35 range is probably more what he's worth, especially right now, as he's kind of lost his, like, maybe not 100% lost his quickness, but I mean, he's not getting to the rim at all. Like, if you're watching these playoffs, he's not getting to the rim, and that's really important for somebody his size. So in an ideal world, he probably gets traded, and they just solidify around this starting cast of Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, Wemby, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell. Champagne has really shown himself here. I think he can be a long-term piece on this team. So I think that's probably what they need to do, and go out and get a wing or something like that. Honestly, Trey Murphy wouldn't be bad at all on this team. I could see some kind of trade with the Pelicans, maybe get Trey Murphy, or shoot, I don't know if they could get like a rookie off of them. Like, I don't think that they would move Jeremiah Fears, but that would not be a bad piece to have for the future for the Spurs. Anyway, so that is the IRL League news segment. Now we're going to go into the salary cap league news, the All-Star salary cap league news. I only have one thing to say. This is crazy. There has been something in the All-Star salary cap league called auctioning. It's a very simple, it's obvious what it means, but you can auction a player for a set amount of time. Highest bidder wins. And just today, just before I started recording this episode, it got nixed. It's gone. It's done. There is no more auctioning allowed in the league. Now, this is pretty big for a number of reasons. The actual opinion of it all, Josh, the owner of the league, he had talked about it, and he was like, hey guys, 80% of the league is never happy with these auctions, and it leads to underselling and overpaying, and it's just not good for the overall health of the league, so I'm going to go ahead and remove it. I like this. I like that he didn't poll it. I'm glad that he didn't just, constantly bicker and complain with everybody for weeks and weeks and weeks about whether it's a good idea or whether it's a bad idea. Like, he just said, hey, we're not doing this anymore, and we're moving on. I like that. I think that was a very good move, a very good decision, because there's not a whole lot of people that can really argue with him. I think the auctioning system that we had was not the best, to be honest with you. Because one of the biggest issues with it were those auctions could not be vetoed. Like, they could not be vetoed. If I offer you Kasparis Jakashionis, or whatever his name is, for Evan Mobley, and that was your highest bid, you had to take that. You were required to take that trade. You were, in fact, not allowed to say, actually, you know what? I don't want to move Evan Mobley anymore. You weren't allowed to do that. People got in trouble over that several times. It was actually like a really big deal. You couldn't change. And then you also had people like goading each other into offering higher bids, and it would cost more and worse players. And all in all, it just wasn't a good system. It led to a lot of overpays and underpays. And as you all well know, that is a way to absolutely kill the salary cap league. We already have a couple teams that are looking really, really rough because of stuff like that. Although because of free agency, they can slowly rebuild. And in a few years, they will probably be fine. But the big deal and the really big story on this is that it's gone. No, rebrand there. No changing it up, no removing the structure. It's just gone. And that's a really big deal because some of the biggest trades have happened through auctions. And it kind of leaves a little bit of a question: are trades going to start becoming more frequent? Because auctions themselves have already started to slowly phase out of popularity. Auctions probably haven't happened in 2 to 3 weeks now, for good reason. I think it's, again, I myself am probably a big supporter of this auction ban. I think it's going to be really good for the overall health of the league. But that being said, I can see easily where people can talk about activity or stuff of that nature really suffering. I don't know about suffering per se, but I can definitely see where maybe that's something that people consider in the future. Like, man, I really wish that we did auctions because that definitely promoted a lot of activity in the league. So I'm not 100% sure if that maybe something needs to come in and replace auctions. But that being said, that's the league news. I'm a supporter of it. Like, just personally, I'm a supporter of that decision. I think it was a good one. I do think it is probably going to receive very little backlash. I think people are just going to be like, okay, auctions are gone. But it is actually a really big deal, and people should probably be talking about it more because that is going to change a pretty big part of the culture of the All-Star Salary Cap League. And it is probably the first actual rule that has been changed since the very beginning. So it is a big deal. You should absolutely take note of it, and you should probably talk about it, because I think the more conversation that's had about it, the easier it's going to be. Where 2 months down the line, when somebody wants to host an auction and we're like, oh, actually, you can't do that anymore, like, people know why. And I think it's important that people know why, so that they can better understand it. And then when future rules are made, we can look at it and we can say, okay, yeah, well, this didn't work, so maybe if we do something different, it'll work better. Which I think is, again, good for the overall health of the league. And that is my take on that. Now, we are going on to the first segment, the first official segment of the show. And it is just our trade go-overs. I have compiled them and I've made a list of them. I'll be honest, I don't 100% remember how many trades there were, but we are going to go over all of them from the 13th onwards. Yes, there were some really cool trades that happened in the past. I'm just not going to go over them. That's the truth of the matter. I might look back on them one day when I do a year in review kind of segment, something like that. But for right now, I'm just going to go week by week, and it's going to be reviewing all of the previous week's trades. So up till the 20th, this is all the trades that I'll be covering. So let's go ahead and switch over to that. Boom. Look at that. See how professional this looks? So here's what we got. Whoops. Sorry, guys. So our very first trade, Caden made a trade with Dan, and this is one of the biggest trades. This is a really big deal, and I'll get to why it's a big deal in a second. But he sent off Cooper Flag. He brought in Stefan Castle, CMB, Yakutionis, a 27 first round pick from CB Steam, and Dan Warner's 2028. Now look, Dan is not going to be good in 2028. He should not have traded that pick. I think that was a bad move for him. That being said, he is bringing in Cooper Flag, so it kind of evens out, and he could be good with him, because Cooper Flag, I'm telling you, he's going to be a really, really good fantasy asset. This is a crazy trade, and I'll tell you why. Stefan Castle is going to be a fantastic fantasy player. I think that was maybe a mistake to give him up. Like me personally, I think in a trade like this, I would have done my very best to hold on to Stefan Castle. I definitely would not be trying to trade him if I didn't have to, even for a Cooper Flag. But I think this is the kicker. All of this young talent, all of these picks, this is a haul. People are not talking about how much of a haul this is. Colin Murray-Boyles is an underrated player. He is so good for his size and his talent. I think that he is going to be a really good rebounder, and I think his stocks are going to look really, really good in the future. His defensive appetite is just so good, and I really think that he is going to be such a good player for the future. And I'm really upset, actually, that he got traded, because honestly, I kind of wanted him, and I might still try to go out and get him. But I think, let's not forget, Stefan Castle was a pretty top lottery pick. Colin Murray-Boyles, I believe, was drafted. Oh, CMB, when were you drafted? He was not very late. He was before pick 10, I believe. So that's kind of an early pick. Yakutionis, he's a pretty promising guy as well. And then you throw 2 first-round picks on top of that. This is a lot. I think people don't understand how much this actually was for Cooper Flag, because guess what? The other thing, that CB Steam pick, I think that's going to be a good pick. I think that's going to be a lottery pick. So we're talking a top 14 pick, Stefan Castle, Colin Murray-Boyles, Yakutionis, and a 2028 first-round pick from Dan. And honestly, that might be worth 2 or 3 first-round picks. Altogether, we're talking like 8 or 9 first-round picks of value for Cooper Flag. This guy might be one of the most valuable players in Dynasty basketball formats. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's not traded again, or if he is, he has to be traded for a package similar to this because Dan has gutted his team. And honestly, I would be looking to replenish it with different young talent and different assets because right now, I think he needs it more than he needs Cooper Flag. Let's go ahead and go to the next trade. We're just going to go through a couple of these pretty quick, and we'll just kind of speed react to them. So Isaiah Joe and AJ Green for 2.06. I'm not going to lie. I think Celtics probably wins this trade. 2.06. I mean, it's the sixth second round pick, so yay. It's not great. I actually really like Isaiah Joe. I think he's a little bit underrated. AJ Green is so good. He is so good. And honestly, I think with the Ryan Rollins and the Kevin Porter Jr. Leaps that have been made this year, I honestly think that with the amount of assists that they're going to be diming to AJ Green, I think that he could kind of start to enter the 1 to 200 range for fantasy assets. And I actually think that he could be a really good breakout potential target for next year. So I actually think Celtics won this trade. And if I were Sapa, I would do my very best to not miss out on another trade like this. So I think I'm going to give that to Celtics. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and start rating trades for each team. I think that's also something that I should do. So for Caden, this is a 10 out of 10. I mean, honestly, he may have fleeced Dan. It's not a technical fleece because it's probably equal value. But, I mean, just with the amount of assets he took, that's kind of a fleece. For Dan, this is probably a 6 out of 10. He brought in Cooper Flag, and frankly, it's so hard to move some of those top guys. Cooper Flag, Victor Wembanyama, like there's just some guys that are just impossible to move, and the fact that he got one of them, kudos to you. It's going to gut your team, but it could be worth it in the end. So yeah, overall trade is going to be a 7 out of 10, I think. For Celtics, this is a really solid 7 out of 10. Brought in 2 good role players, got rid of a 2.06 pick, which doesn't really help you this year. For Sap, I'm not going to lie, I think that you kind of missed on this trade, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. It's not a catastrophic loss. Like, you could find a really good guy at 2.06. I just think that Isaiah Joe and AJ Green are going to be a little more valuable on your team rather than being traded for a pick. So our next trade is going to be Josh Pett. He has... I love this trade. I love this trade. So he got Peyton Watson. He sent away to John Salon, which I believe was a lottery pick last year, Jamal Shed, and 1.20. Jamal Shed, I'm not going to lie, I kind of think that he's not a really relevant part of this trade. It was just kind of a guy to throw in there. To John Salon, he could actually still be good. I didn't see hardly anything from him that was too terribly good this year, so I'm not counting my hopes up that he's going to end up becoming like a real rotation player, or if he does, probably not for the Hornets, but who knows? You never know. Young players figure it out. 1.20, I kind of like that. I think that might be the best part of this deal, actually. 1.20, this is a deeper draft class, and I actually think that there's some really solid picks at 20, assuming that you're able to find the guy that you want in there. But I'm going to be honest, Peyton Watson is so underrated. He is so underrated, and I definitely think he has some breakout potential going into next year, so I definitely think that this is maybe a loss for Caden, and maybe a small win for Josh. So for Josh, I'm going to go ahead. He's got so many assets moving in and out constantly, but I think this does address a small need, and some bench depth is nice to have, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a 6.5 out of 10. Like, nothing crazy, but it's a good trade to have. Caden, bringing in some of these assets, I don't think is bad. I just don't think you needed to do this. I think that it kind of will hurt you in the future, unless Salon like really shows out next year. If he does, then this is probably going to be a 7 out of 10 trade for you. But for right now, I think it's 5. I think it's a 5 out of 10. I don't think it's really necessary for your team, and I think it's going to maybe hamper you just a little bit. Although those assets, if you flip them, they could end up being really good for you. So we'll just say a 5 out of 10 for right now. And the overall trade is probably 6 out of 10. it's a good trade. It's a very even trade. I do like that. It's very even. I think Josh, again, I think he wins just a little bit, but it's an even trade. This is a big trade, though. So Overshown and Caden, he made another move. I hate this trade so much. So for Overshown, this is a 10 out of 10 trade. I mean, 10 out of 10. Fleece just absolutely going out and saying, put the All-Star in the bag. He is mine now, and walking out with him. Because that's what happened. I don't know how he did this. I don't know what that conversation looked like. I need to take a lesson, because genuinely this is one of the biggest fleeces I think I've ever seen. So Bronny James, go ahead and ship him off to the G League. He's not playing for you or giving you any meaningful minutes. Nikola Topic, unless Shea decides that he wants to rip out both hamstrings and shove them down AJ Mitchell's throat, there's no way Topic is getting any minutes behind that backcourt right now. So right now, he's completely irrelevant as a player. In any game that he plays in, he does play pretty good. He's not seeing minutes on this championship team. So don't even try to play him right now. So that kind of leaves 1.10 as the focal point of this trade. Now, I don't know if you guys like Stephon Kessel or not. If somebody were to send me a message and say, hey, I have 1.10. Would you like to send Stephon Kessel to me? I would say, haha, no. I would block them, burn their house down, and steal the rest of their fantasy team. Like, I'm being very serious. Like, this is insane. This is such a fleece. This is a disgusting trade. For Caden, this is a 0 out of 10. This is the worst trade that I have seen. This is the worst trade I've ever rated. This is atrocious. I mean, he literally said to him, put the All-Star in the bag. I'm not taking no for an answer. Give him to me now. And Caden rolled over on his belly, said, yes, master, and just sent it. Just sent it. I mean, this is terrible. I can't even express how terrible of a trade this is. So yeah, this whole trade is going to be a 1 out of 10 just for the sake of the league health. I mean, this is terrible, and it never should have happened. I called for a veto for this trade, and it was... I digress. This was a terrible trade. Anyway, we're going to go on. So another Josh Pett trade. He's going to ship out Aaron Gordon and Dennis Jenkins, and he's going to get Moussa Diabate and... Oh, is that Keldon Jones? An irrelevant role player. I hate to say it. He plays for Indy. He's an irrelevant role player. I think it's Keldon Jones. Yeah, I mean it's even-ish. I like Aaron Gordon. If he can remain healthy, and Dennis Jenkins is also pretty good. Like, he's a little bit underrated. I think Diabate, though, he could be really, really good. Like, in this moment now, Caden wins. I think Aaron Gordon and Dennis Jenkins is far better than Moussa Diabate and Jones. I think that's better. Long-term potential, though, Diabate is so much better, and he's so much younger as well. I think this is even. This is going to be a 10 out of 10 trade, I think, just overall. I think it's even. I think it's very fair. You're betting on long-term potential over the short-term benefits. For Caden, this is probably a 6 out of 10. He probably needs to move Aaron Gordon again, though, because he has no need for him on his rebuilding team. Diabate, though, for Josh, I think he just rides your taxi for now, so I think that's going to be a 7 out of 10. Just overall a good trade. Next, we're going to... Ooh, this is a big trade. This is a big trade, and I have a hot take about this trade as well. So Josh got Alperen Sengun. He sent away Evan Mobley and Jabari Smith. Jimmer is the other side of it. He's the one that sent Sengun, and he got Mobley and Jabari Smith. This is my hot take. and I don't know if it'll be well received or not. I think Josh got fleeced. I think he got absolutely fleeced. For one, Jabari Smith is so underrated. He is so underrated from a fantasy perspective. And in real life, I don't think he's underrated. But from a fantasy from a fantasy perspective, I think Jabari Smith is going to be the next kind of Julius Randle type that could easily enter that top 50 range if he could just get a little bit more scoring and a few more rebounds, because I think his stocks are going to jump. I am buying a ton of stock on Jabari Smith being a better fantasy player next year, and I think that he is going to easily pass that. Evan Mobley, I think he's going to hit a scoring jump. Just watching him in these playoffs, I honestly think that he is so due for that, and I think that he is going to be put in a position either on a new team if he gets traded to the Bucks, or if the Cavs blow it up, he will become their best player, because I'm assuming Donovan Mitchell is getting shipped out. I could see Evan Mobley being a top 15 fantasy asset next year, and it might not even be close. So for Sengun, I am so low on him. I am a little bit biased. I think that he is... I'm just very, very low on him. The reason being, I think that this Houston team is gearing up for him to not be successful. From a fantasy perspective, he is a very good player, and he is definitely better than Mobley. He's better than Jabari Smith. I think together even, their values kind of offset his, so I think that Josh loses this trade anyway. I also think that we're going to see Alperen Sengun kind of flame out. I think this could be like the next Ben Simmons kind of guy that like shows really great young promise, and he's so good, but that three ball just never starts, and then you start seeing all of these problems, and you're like, oh, can you actually win basketball for us? And then all of a sudden he's getting shipped to the Shanghai Sharks. You never know. And the truth of the matter is, I also just don't think this team is built well in Houston, and I think that they are going to fall apart very quickly, and I think the very first person besides KD to go will be Sengun. So I'm not a fan of this trade for Josh. This is probably going to be a 3 out of 10. For Jimmer, though, this is a great trade. Probably 8 out of 10. Really, really solid. We're going to go over these next few really fast. T absolutely fleeced 0 on this. Absolute fleece. Dylan Harper is so good and is far better than pick 1.05. I think 1.05 and Norman Powell would be probably maybe enough to get Dylan Harper, maybe. But throwing Danny Wolf on there is just insult to injury, and I also really like him. I think he's going to be very good as well. So for T, this is an easy 8 out of 10 trade. For 0, this is like it's maybe a 3 out of 10. The only reason that it's not like, well, it's probably more like a 4 out of 10. The only reason that's not a worse grade is because you are getting 1.05 in a generational draft class. So you're probably going to be okay, but you just got to make sure that you draft well, or if you can, trade up. But the overall trade is going to be like a 5 out of 10. Just kind of okay. One side clearly won, but, there's upside to both. So for Jesse, that's right. So Jesse trades up to 1.05, sends 1.06 and 1.25, and 0 is the one that shipped off the pick. I'm not going to lie. I think this is fine. I think this is just fine. I think the value is pretty good. It's kind of the difference between getting Darius Acuff and Keaton Wagler, or whoever else goes 5 and 6. Like, if you really just want to make sure that your guy is there at 5 rather than there at 6, like, I get it. So I think it was a good move. All in all, this is just a really even trade. 9 out of 10. Like, no complaints. Good job. So T made a move to go get Zach Edey. He sent off Gary Trent, irrelevant. Marcus Esser, pseudo-irrelevant. He could end up being a little bit better in the future, but I think I'm not sure he's getting a contract extension. And then this is the actual big piece of this. Getting Jimmer's 2027. Now, the reason I like that is because I think Jimmer is maybe not going to be the best next year. So in an ideal world, that pick turns out to be really, really good. So you get, I don't know who you would get. I mean, I know next year's draft class isn't as good as this year's, but you could still get somebody pretty decent. especially for what is a gym that is rebuilding right now. That pick is going to be important. Now, T easily wins this if Zach Edey can play 50 games. If he can't play 50 games, then what is Jim wins this easily. Honestly, just for the uncertainty, I think I'm going to give the overall trade a 7 out of 10. But for T, it's probably a solid 6 out of 10. Hedging a bet. If it pays off, he easily wins. If not, then he didn't give up too much. What is Jim will be hurting really, really bad if Zach Edey ends up being a really good player. But he sent him off for a pretty decent amount of stuff. So honestly, I think it's fair for both sides. 7 out of 10. Okay, so Jesse sent away 1.05 for Ben Mathurin, 1.13 and a 2028 first round pick to Overshown. I'm not going to lie. I think Jesse absolutely cooked on this trade. I think Ben Mathurin is due. I absolutely called the Jalen Johnson leap. I knew that it was going to stick. I knew that he was going to be the next guy, and I felt really good about that. I absolutely called Denny's jump as well. I was really high on Denny the season before last, and I was like, I think that he could become a really solid fantasy asset player. He absolutely is now. I think my next picks are Santi Aldama. I think this is his last chance. If he can stay healthy, I think that he will be a very, very good player. He just has to stay healthy and get on the court. Jalen Wells as well. Benedict Mathurin and Andrew Nemhard are the other two people that I am currently looking at and saying, you are going to become an even better player next year. And I think that he is due for that all-star jump. Now, all-star might be crazy. But I think he could be an insanely good player, especially on a Clippers team that desperately needs a really good player, because if Kawhi leaves, it's just Ben Mathurin and friends. So and Darius Garland, but I really would like to see Ben Mathurin take a jump. 1.13 as well, and another first. Yeah, this was a great haul for 1.05 for Jesse. This is an easy 8 out of 10. Overshown, probably overpay, so we're going to give you a 3 out of 10. Overall trade is going to be a 7 out of 10. This is the worst trade I have ever seen in my entire life, and I hate it so much. I hate this trade so much. When I saw this trade, I was calling for this guy to be sent to the G League. I mean, this is an atrocious. 1 second. This is an atrocious trade, and I wish that it had never happened. But it did. So you got Jalen Tyson, Justin Edwards, 2.01, which, by the way, that is a ridiculous thing to throw into a trade like this. You get the first pick of the second round. Oh my gosh. Disgusting work. The centerpiece of this trade is Keegan Murray for 1.06. Let me ask you, would you rather have Keaton Wagler or 1.06? Or would you rather have Keegan Murray or Keaton Wagler? Or Darius Acuff? I would rather have Braden Burries over Keegan Murray. This guy can't play. He's either hurt all the time or he plays for the Kings the rest of the time when he's not hurt. So already I'm like, you know what, I'm out. I don't want a Kings player on my team. So already I'm turned off by it. Jalen Tyson, he could be decent, I guess. He's only like year 1 or 2, so like, who knows? Maybe he'll be pretty decent. Justin Edwards is irrelevant, and if you're really trying to tell me the swing factor was 2.01, I'd smack you across your face and tell you to go play for the Shanghai Sharks. This is a ridiculous trade. It never should have happened. Yeah, for 0, this is like a 2 out of 10. You got fleeced. For Melbourne, oh my gosh, 9 out of 10 trade for you. I mean, for a guy that desperately needed something to go right for his team, this was a drop. This was a drop of golden sun. I mean, oh my gosh, you got everything that you needed and you gave up your liabilities. Like, it's like if somebody said, would you rather give me money and a really, really good offer for this, or I will take all of the issues that you have and add them to my own, and I will give you all the good things that I have. And Melbourne thought about it for a second and was like, so this is just really good for me and really bad for you, and you're the one offering it to me. Okay, I guess I might as well do that trade since apparently you want to gut yourself in front of me. Fine. Who am I to stop you, I guess. So that's what happened. I'm assuming that's what happened, because otherwise god-awful trade. So we have another trade from Josh. He traded SGA for Trae Young, Jalen Duren, and Cason Wallace. Again, hot take. I think Josh loses this. I think Josh loses this one. The reason I say this, cap space wise, Sal is cooked. Like, he can't make any more trades. He can't even extend Jalen Duren right now. But I think Trae Young is underrated right now. I think he's due for a resurgence. So I actually think that this is going to be really, really good for Sal. Not to mention a young Jalen Duren and Cason Wallace. Cason Wallace, you should be looking out for him, because I think he could easily be a very good fantasy asset next year, and he is a sleeper agent waiting on this OKC team. Like, there's so many players on this OKC team that if they went to another team, they would be so good. We saw this with Ousmane Dieng. AJ Mitchell was going to be the next Jalen Brunson when he goes to another team. Jalen Williams has been amazing as a stretch big, and I really love him. I really wish that he would also get traded to another team. Isaiah Hartenstein has been phenomenal. Like, a lot of these OKC guys are just waiting for their opportunity to spring, and I think Cason Wallace is the very next guy to do it. SGA obviously is fantastic, and at face value, you would kind of say, oh, well, I guess that's not a super fair deal. I actually think it's probably going to be okay, and I think it actually makes Sal more of a contender, so I think this is very good for him. And I think this really solidifies Josh's position as one of the top teams in the league as well. So, all in all, I think this is a pretty good trade. We're going to give this an 8 out of 10 trade overall. For Josh, it's going to be a 7 out of 10. For Sal, it's kind of addressing all of your issues, so we're going to give you an 8 out of 10. So, really good trade. I don't remember how many more trades there are. I think there's only a couple more, so we're going to speed run these. So, Sapai gets Nick Claxton for Jose Alvarado, Sam Hauser, Liam McNeely, 2.04 and 2.06. And what are you going to do? It's pretty fair. I'm not sure I would have included Sam Hauser. I think he's a little bit better than that, but all in all, pretty good trade. For Funk, I'm not sure why you want all of that depth, but I'm praying that you package some of those guys together and go get something. But probably like it's not a bad trade, it's just okay. Probably a 6 out of 10 for Sap, probably 6 out of 10. Overall trade, probably just a 6 out of 10. It's just okay. It's a good trade, though. Very even, very fair. Odin traded for De'Aaron Fox. He sent Dylan Brooks, Trey Jones, and Gigi Jackson. So I'm going to say it. And I'm going to say it again. This is why Odin is one of the best players in the league. Because he makes these deals happen where they should not happen. And this is a pretty decent trade. Dylan Brooks has shown really great potential, and I think he could definitely be a pretty good player next year. Trey Jones, he's a very solid depth piece. Gigi Jackson, I think, is waiting for a breakout season. So, honestly, I don't even hate that. It's just the fact that De'Aaron Fox is so up in the air right now, and with that contract, it's going to be so hard to move around. I think this is just an even trade. I think the salary really makes that difference. So I think for Odin, I mean, you're going all in, but I mean, it worked last year. You're the lone champion of our league, so I got to give you some credit. So we're going to give you a solid 8 out of 10 for the trade. I think this is what you need. And for Funk, we're going to go ahead and give you a 7 out of 10. I think this is good for you. Maybe not as good for you as Odin, but this is good. So overall trade, 7 out of 10. Yes, I think this is the last trade. So we got 2 second round picks and Overshown's pick for Zero's pick. Now, this is important. This is an important trade. and people aren't going to realize how important this trade is until it happens. Zero's team in 2028, that pick will be 1.01. You can mark my words. That pick will be 1.01 or 1.05. It's going to be somewhere in the 1.01 to 1.05 range. That is going to be an insanely good pick. And I don't think Overshown is going to be too good. I think Freddie kind of got messed over here. He saw the seconds and was like, oh, more seconds. Gimme. And didn't realize that his pants were basically ripped off and all of his candy was stolen from him. Like, he lost the really good thing because he saw all of the shiny jewels. Like, he got plundered, and he doesn't even realize it. Yeah, I think this is just really good for Overshown. I think it was a good move. It was a little sneaky, but it was a good move. It would be an even better move if he kept that pick and did not try to do anything with it. But yeah, all in all, this is a solid 5 out of 10 trade. I think Freddie kind of got messed over, so we're going to give him a 3 out of 10 for Overshown. This was a really strong GM move. It's probably an 8 out of 10 move. It was a little sneaky, but it was an 8 out of 10 move, so good for him. All right, and that wraps up our trade review segment. So let me know if there are other trades that you would really like me to take a look at. We are actually not going to get... I didn't realize how long this show would go for. But if you've watched all the way to the end, you have watched an hour of content. So thank you. I appreciate that. Slayer segment is going to be next week. And I'm going to compile stuff for it, and I'm going to make it a little bit more jazzed up than I was going to have it for today. Because I was just going to talk about this absolutely terrible trade offer that I got. I mean, when I saw it, I threw my phone across the room into a wood chipper, and I had to buy a new phone because it was so atrocious I couldn't bear to see it on my cell phone screen. So we'll talk about that trade next week because, I mean, I'm out of time. And if I go any longer, you guys aren't going to watch anymore. And that would be really, really sad for me. It'd be sad for you guys, and it'd be sad for the league. So all in all, thank you guys so much for watching. I certainly hope you guys have a fantastic day. This has been the All-Star Salary Cap League on Sleeper show. But we're going to come up with a better name for that because it just doesn't roll off the tongue. Well, it rolls off my tongue. I'm not sure if it would roll off your tongue, but it rolls off my tongue because I can enunciate sometimes. But anyway, I really enjoyed this. I hope you guys have a good day. And comment down below on this video what you want to see for this show. If you want to see other people brought onto the show, if you want to see different segments, if there's different things that you want to do or address or look at or know about, feel free to ask. I would love to do a comment section once a week as well. That would be great. Just let me know. Talk to me, and I will talk to you all next week. Have a good day. Have a good week. Happy trading. And enjoy the playoffs because, I mean, they're crazy right now. Y'all have a good day.